Hello everyone, Shelby with you today. On today's tutorials I'm going to show you two different ways to emboss using your stencils. We're going to do heat embossing and we're going to do dry embossing. And the first tutorial I'm going to show you is how to dry emboss. So you're going to need a stencil, a piece of paper, and I'm going to show you the Sizzix or the Big Shot way of doing it. So your sandwich is tab 1, or your base plate set to tab 1, then one acrylic plate, one of those squishy silicone mats placed on top of your acrylic plate, then the piece of paper that you want to emboss. Then you're going to choose your your stencil and place that right over top. Then you're going to need the black impressions pad from Sizzix. And then let me reach over here and grab my die cutting machine. So that is the sandwich. You want tab 1, an acrylic plate, the silicone mat, the paper, then the stencil, and then the impression pad. It's going to be a pretty tight sandwich to get through. You can see it slipping around. I thought I could do it with 2 fingers. Apparently, those 2 fingers are not strong enough. So you're going to have to use your whole hand unless your fingers are stronger than mine. So it's a little hard to see right when it comes off because it's pretty light in my craft room. So let me get this up into the light and hopefully you can see it a little bit better, or actually let me slide in with the camera. You can see the impression. I'm going to put it on a piece of paper. There you can really see it. I'm going to come in with some ink so that you can see it even more. I'm using my favorite distress inks, of course. And yes, I know there's a big old blob in the corner because it was actually wasn't going to do a smooth blend. I just wanted to show you the impressions that you can make using that sandwich and the dry embossing technique for your stencils. So the next one is heat embossing. So what you want is Versamark or whatever ink that you like to use for embossing, piece of paper, a stencil, and some removable tape. I happen to be using the pink post-it note tape. And position the paper underneath the stencil exactly like you want it. And I'm going to tape down the stencil so it doesn't shift and move, and then I've got, a hot mess going on underneath my stencil. So I'm going to tape it both at the top and the bottom. Experience has taught me that sometimes one piece is not enough. And then I'm going to come in with my Versamark, and I'm going to directly apply it over the stencil or through the stencil onto the paper. You don't want to like a light tap. You kind of want to squish it down in there to get through the thickness of the stencil, which isn't great in terms of thickness, but you do want to press it down in there to make sure that the ink is getting all the way to the paper. And I'm going to double check to make sure I got all the areas. And the other great thing about the tape is it'll hold that stencil directly in place, so you can slide it back in and line it up a little bit easier. So I'm now going to come in with some white embossing powder so that you can see it on camera a little bit better. I tend to like to use clear embossing, the extra fine. It just does, in my opinion, a little bit better for the embossing, but for today I'm going to pretend I actually like white embossing powder. And I keep my embossing powder in a self-contained container with a lid. Why? Because I've probably spilled a jar or 2 all over my craft room. So now you're going to want to heat set it, and through the magic of video we're going to pretend that was done lickety-split. And I'm going to mist on some of the Prima sprays so you can see a little bit better what actually happened on the paper. And I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe that off, which will show you more clearly the butterfly pattern. And we're going to come back in with a slightly damp towel or paper towel, and then I'm going to rub and get all that ink off of the embossed area so that it shows more clearly, one on my project, but also for you folks in video land that can see what I'm doing. So I'm almost done cleaning up those lovely butterflies. So in this picture on the right side you have the heat emboss, and the left side you have the dry emboss. So extra ways to use those stencils. Love them, love them, love them. We'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.